So I know the Mortal Kombat movie is coming out. I know Mortal Kombat is, a huge franchise, and the a lot of people still consider the original Mortal Kombat movie that came out in 94, 95 as one of the greatest video game movies of all time. Armageddon, the one that came out after that, it's kind of really bad. And now, in about a month, they're going to release a new Mortal Kombat movie. They're just going to call it Mortal Kombat again. And so I want to give my thoughts on what I think will happen, some of the trends that they do with these kind of movies, and I also want to talk about Ed Boon. So, me and my brother have a lot of um, debates about what kind of involvement Ed Boon even has with Mortal Kombat. Now, I'm sure he likes the title of co-creator, but is he really co-creator? And we're gonna get into that. So, I think that this movie, I've seen the trailer, and the trailer looks awesome. It looks great. Sub Zero looks super good. I love the beginning part where I think Jax shoots him and he just freezes the bullet in midair, and the way he's just looking at the ice freeze. I mean, he looks cold. He looks like a real psychopath. He doesn't care. Um, he's a killer. And the big controversy about the movie is, of course, the new character. I think he's called Cole, T Cole or something. Cole something, Cole Young. I don't know, but there's gonna be a new character, and already, the thing about video game movies, or movies inspired by video games, is that they it's almost like the director and the script writers or whatever, like they look at the video game, and they look at the lore the video game is built up. Then, like, yeah, we don't care, we're gonna add our own character, we're gonna do something completely different. And that's frustrating because we want to see, as people who um, have played the game and have followed the game for decades, okay, like in my case, I want to see a movie that's kind of like pick it up from the game and stick it on the movie. But they just don't do that. They do most of it, and they'll use the names and all that, but they'll always throw in like a new character or something. And I've always been conflicted about that, because it's, because that character, that they're this new character that has no background, um that means an OG character from Mortal Kombat, he's replacing it. This new character that, because it wasn't Ed Boon that came up with this new character. It was definitely the director, or what, a screenwriter or something. It wasn't Ed Boon, okay? It was definitely one of them, and it's essentially a character that could have been an OG Mortal Kombat character, which Mortal Kombat players who actually follow the series would have appreciated. So, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie. He may be a great character, and then later he'll be featured in video games and stuff. But you know, that's just one thing that makes me sad. Another thing about the trailer that I'm kind of like, I don't know, is this the part where, like, I guess everybody has a tattoo, or not a tattoo. They have a birthmark that looks like the Mortal Kombat symbol. Like, yeah, right. Like, come on. Like, I know there's a guy in there that has ice powers, like, but that just seems really corny to me. And this is one scene where, you know, I guess, I don't know, Sonya Blade's talking to him. She's like, "What are you doing here? Like, who the hell are you?" And he just shows his chest, and he just like gives him a look, like, "Look at that Mortal Kombat symbol." And I don't know, there's just something corny about that. Uh, but I hope the movie's good. I hope it blows my expectations out of the water, and that it's a movie that's gonna really put Mortal Kombat on that next level of pop culture. Because I think Mortal Kombat is already pretty much, I would say, it's pop culture at this point. Most people, you say Sub Zero, or finish him, Mortal Kombat. People are like, "Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat," even if they've never played the game in their life, even if they don't really know anything about video games. They'll recognize names like Scorpion or Sub-Zero or whatever. So I hope the movie's good. But inevitably, my question comes down to this. How much was Ed Boon, how much did he contribute to the movie? And the question is obviously zero. He didn't contribute anything to the movie. And why didn't Ed Boon contribute to the movie? Why wouldn't he contribute to it? Well, it's pretty obvious why. Because he has nothing to do with the creation of Mortal Kombat to begin with. So, in my opinion, I think that the title Ed Boon has of co-creator is wrong. I think it's complete bullshit. I think it's bullshit. I think that's a stolen title. He didn't create. I mean, saying that Ed Boon created Mortal Kombat or had some kind of creation in the lore and the characters, in the conception of the game itself, saying that he deserves the title of, yeah, I'm a creator too, is kind of like, I was explaining this to my brother, it's kind of like saying the guy who printed the theory of, what's it called now? Einstein's the theory of relativity, okay? The guy who printed the paper should somehow get credit for the theory of relativity that Einstein came up with. He deserves, I mean, that's absurd, right? Why would the guy who printed out, who, I don't know, made the paper that the theory of relativity got printed on, why should he get any fucking credit for the theory? He shouldn't. And I think that's Ed Boon. Ed Boon should get no credit for it at all because he did not create. He was just a programmer. He just happened to be the programmer that was there to work on the game that somebody else created. And that somebody else is John Tobias. John Tobias is the true and only creator of Mortal Kombat, not Ed Boon. And I joke all the time saying, man, I wonder if John Tobias self-flagellates every single night, knowing that he gave up, in his attempt to be an artiste, he gave up this franchise that was really his baby. It was the only thing of value he ever did, which was to create Mortal Kombat. And even the original guys that worked on the game, and I'm talking about like the Pacina brothers, I'm talking about all the OG guys. They admit, and by the way, they've been relegated to essentially forgotten. Okay, Ed Boon ain't coming around saying, whenever somebody gives him an interview and they ask him, Ed Boon, creator of Mortal Kombat, he never says, oh, no, John Tobias and the Pacina brothers and David. He doesn't say that. If it was up to NetherRealm and Warner Brothers, I mean, they would completely obliterate those guys, the original actors and the original contributors to Mortal Kombat, who came up with things like the saying of "Get over here" and using the spear for Scorpion and the metal eye and laser beam for Kano, all that stuff that they contributed to Mortal Kombat, which was really the architect and the maker is John Tobias, but they added they added all those awesome things that nowadays you can't think about Mortal Kombat without saying "Get over here" or Scorpion saying "Get over here." Well, that was actually one of the actors that while they were coming up with the game and brainstorming there, one of them said, "Hey, why not have Scorpion, throw a kunai," and he says, "Get over here," haha. It's kind of almost like as a passing thing, suddenly becomes kind of like the trademark saying of the entire franchise. That wasn't Ed Boon. Ed Boon is completely dispensable. And I'm going to talk about what's the one thing that Ed Boon did right and why right now he's the co-creator. And that's because he just stuck with it, okay? And actually, ironically, he's probably the only thing keeping Mortal Kombat looking like Mortal Kombat. I'll give him credit there. Because, as soon as Ed Boon is fired or he kicks the bucket or whatever happens to him, he leaves the company, okay? He you know that Mortal Kombat, all of a sudden the blood will disappear and the sparks will appear, right? We know that's going to happen because we know that, the gore and the blood, although it is a very Mortal Kombat thing, as soon as Ed Boon is gone, some executive is going to jump in there and he's going to say, yeah, we should probably take the blood out. Just add sparks. Like Soul Calibur, okay? Who cares? Add sparks because it's going to appeal to a wider audience and it's going to get a lower, maturity rating or whatever, and we're going to make more money. So I truly believe that as soon as Ed Boon leaves the company, leaves the team, they're gonna switch to Mortal Kombat. So enjoy Mortal Kombat while it's still gory. Okay, I don't think that's gonna last once Ed Boon is gone. But John Tobias is the guy who created like 85 to 90% of the game. He is the creator. What ended up happening was that at John Tobias, during Mortal Kombat 4, he essentially had different ideas. He said, you know what? Like any artist, I think that John Tobias is a creative, artistic person. But the one thing that I think artists and creative people sometimes forget is that you can't, it's hard to capture lightning in a bottle twice. Near impossible. And what he did was, from what I understand, Mortal Kombat 4, he was essentially done with it. He's like, this is where the story ends, which probably makes sense because if you look at the Mortal Kombat story now, I mean, there's a lot of criticism for it, okay? You could even argue that the only reason why they keep adding to it and they're doing this whole time thing now is just because, you can't, the story should have ended a long time ago. And the only way to artificially extend it is by doing this. During Mortal Kombat 4, he decided to go off and start his own game developing studio called El Gigante or something. And it was a flop. Okay, it didn't work out. He came up with a new game idea, tried a new fighting game, and it just didn't work. And that's it. But once he was out, it wasn't like Ed Boon was going to be like, oh, it didn't work out for you? Yeah, come back in. Let me put in a good word for you. No. Now, Tobias is relegated to, doing the coloring book, doing the comics, coloring the comics. You're creating like a one edition comic. Essentially drawing, doodling. That's it. That's your role now in Mortal Kombat. You've given up all your rights. You have no say in the game anymore, or in the mythos of Mortal Kombat, which he created. I mean, can you imagine if you create something literally from your own brain just by reading a random book, and then you make a mistake, and then that's it, $1 billion industry. You don't have nothing to do with it anymore, buddy. Barely remembered as being the creator, okay? The only thing that suggests, and I'm sure Ed Boon hates this, the only thing that suggests that there's someone else that has something to do with Mortal Kombat is the right next to creator whenever Ed Boon is presented. Ed Boon had nothing to do with the creation of Mortal Kombat. Nothing. The guy is not a creative person. He's a good marketing person. Maybe he's a decent programmer, but really he's kind of like a Steve Jobs. His job is to promote and to try to get guest characters. Oh, he's good at that, getting guest characters. He's good at making people getting talent to work. Yeah, that's good. But that's what he does. He's a promoter. The only thing that I think any of the original team admits that he did was like come up with the name for one of the ninjas, Rain, the purple ninja. And I mean, how hard is it to do that back then? Come up with, okay, what color ninja we're going to do now? Purple ninja. What color should he be? Well, I was just listening to Purple Rain by Prince. That's his name, Rain. That's not creativity. Ed Boon could never have created Mortal Kombat if it wasn't for John Tobias. And the only reason has the title of co-creator by his name is because he just stuck with it. He was smart enough to stick with it. And John Tobias, I don't want to say that he wasn't smart enough, but yeah, I guess he wasn't smart enough to see that, hey, you know what? This was it. This is the gold mine, and I'm not going to go find gold again. And because he's an artist, he said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try. I gotta move on. I think that a lot of artists have that kind of, feeling. Oscar Wilde said, as soon as an artist gets a reputation, he wants to throw it away. And I think that's what happened to John Tobias. He threw it away. He said, this is as far as he can go. And perhaps he was right with regard to quality of story. And he let it go. And now he's not doing anything, and I think that's, man. I mean, I would have nightmares every single day knowing that I threw away $1 billion franchise, and I get no credit, no credit at all. And the original guys who really helped, and because it was kind of like just a friendly, it was like a friend thing, at first. When Mortal Kombat was first coming out, it wasn't executives around the table with expensive artists and designers and all. Just a bunch of dudes putting on funny costumes from a costume shop, like not even a couple blocks down the street from the garage that they'd let them use to try to come up with an idea. I mean, it started from that, and now people want to pretend Ed Boon. Ed Boon, I can guarantee you, he doesn't know how many realms there are in Mortal Kombat. He doesn't. He is just he. I mean, if for some reason, let's say, I don't know, My Little Pony. My Little Pony came back into mainstream, and that's the big thing now. If he could get a My Little Pony character as DLC in Mortal Kombat, he'd do it. That's the kind of person Ed Boon is. He is not a creator. He is not the creator. He is just a marketing dude. And that's what he does. He will do anything for the money. Anything for the money. And I don't think Ed Boon deserves any credit for the creation of Mortal Kombat. And with this movie, he had no input. That's why they add characters like Cole in there, because who cares? Ed Boon doesn't care. Yeah, just make it work. I don't give a crap about the lore. What do I care about the lore? I didn't create that crap. Go ahead. All I know is that I'm getting more money, and that if I can make this as big as it can, as big as it can be, let's do it. And that is a far cry from what a real creator, someone like John Tobias, the guy who did create Mortal Kombat, would do. I would imagine he would actually want a lot of input on it because, hey, this is my baby. This is my idea. Can I make the story? I'm the guy. But not with Ed Boon. And I think that's why, we have characters, although some of them are pretty awesome. I will say that Mortal Kombat has probably some of the best DLC characters, guest characters in the game, besides maybe Smash Brothers. Because that's all he cares about. He just cares about making it bigger and playing the executive game, the marketing game. But in terms of, any kind of mythos or anything, Ed Boon has no input. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. And that's a sad thing. So, sorry, John Tobias, you messed up. You lost $1 billion. But hey, you know what? At least Ed Boon's still in there, and he lets you color some books, right?